We're here for episode 2 of the Pretty Spooky Podcast. Thank you for coming back to join us this week. We are super excited. We've been looking forward to this for basically since we did the first one.
Yeah, we've been like texting constantly, thinking about doing this, and then also we got I feel like a surprising amount of responses from people about episode 1. I thought no one would listen to it.
Oh yeah?
But I know at least 5 people who have listened to it and are I'm not impressed with the amount of YouTube views we have, but we have a good amount.
Really? I haven't checked. I haven't been keeping
it's
up
over
with that
40.
as much. Really?
Yeah.
That's exciting.
And then I haven't checked the SoundCloud. I'm gonna do it right now. Let's see what our SoundCloud is at.
I haven't been I haven't kept up with a lot of that stuff because it's not set up under my name or anything, but
let's see. 25 plays.
Ooh.
But I got 2 people that listened to it and then actually talked to me about it. And then actually I had 4 people talk to me about how they actually listened to it and talk to me about it. One of them is my mom, and I'm not ashamed to say that.
Hi, Mom.
Hi, Mom. This week,
do you I can go.
Yeah, go for
first,
it. Because you know what? Let's prioritize our request.
Yes. So after our last episode, we had a request from someone on Twitter.
They changed their name right after.
Yeah, I was going to say, I have their old Twitter name written down. I don't think I have it since it's been changed.
Their name is Sugar Pinings. Just
yeah, thank you at Sugar Pinings for your request. I think at the time that they contacted us, they were Petscop Kid or Petscop Kids.
Petscop Kids, yeah.
So that's very smart. They'll get that joke. No, yeah, so we, appropriately enough, Sugar Pinings sent a request to us to check out Petscop, which I think you looked into it a little bit as well, so I'll, if you have something you want to throw out there briefly.
I'm just going to, I'll say the layman's version of it. I'll summarize what it is, and then I'll let you handle the in-depth analysis, because you did way more homework than I did.
In-depth.
Well, more in-depth than I did. So, Petscop is a horror mystery web series that is basically, I guess you could summarize it by saying it's about a haunted video game. Or a video game with a lot of hidden messages that help to create a bigger story, and the video game looks like it was actually created by the person who made the web series, which I think is really cool. And it's sort of supposed to look like maybe PlayStation. I think the intro is PlayStation 1, right? When the game starts up. So it's supposed to be like that era, PlayStation 1 graphics, and it's supposed to be an unfinished game. And then as the player plays the game, which seems sort of innocent at first, and then it seems sort of unfinished, as you go through, you learn more and more about maybe why this game was created, and I honestly didn't finish the series. I'm going to just start that. I didn't finish the series, but that's what I know as a total novice to the Petscop series. I don't want to take too much away, because you went off with this one, so go ahead.
I did. I went off.
Okay, but go off.
Yeah.
Whatever.
But so I to start with, I started by watching a few other people doing reviews of it. because it seemed like there's already a lot of theory out there. So rather than going into it, blank slate, I decided to start sampling a little bit of what other people thought of it. So I think I watched maybe it was another Nightmare Expo video or Night Minds. I think it was Night Minds.
They both did it, and then also did Scare Theater did it as well.
You're right. I did not watch the Scare Theater one, but I watched Nightmare Expo and Night Minds. And I know Night Minds had a lot of like really positive things to say about it as far as like a truly original web series, which it definitely is. I think it's funny because you can make an argument that Karina Gazebo is a far more original one, and I wonder if Night Minds has done any work on that. But that's not to detract from Petscop necessarily. I don't think it's as original simply because it's based on a Let's Play format. And every time I've seen anyone, like, Petscop has gotten some, like, actual press. I think AV Club has done reports about it. Kotaku, which is, not, like, high journalism, but it's gaming journalism and pop culture journalism, did an article about it.
I'm just gonna, like, drop just one thing in quickly.
Yes.
Then there was, like, the Ben drowning creepypasta.
Yes. That's what I was gonna say.
Which is that just like a quick summary, that is about a haunted version of Majora's Mask, right? Majora's Mask?
Yeah. I believe so.
And that was like a really big creepypasta, and that's what this sort of reminded me of, and that's why I would say like maybe it's not as original. Not to say that Petscop took anything from that creepypasta, but it's like I've kind of seen something similar before.
Yeah, and that's all that I was...
but read about.
Correct. Mm-hmm. That's all of that I was trying to say, is that every single one of these articles and pieces of press that I read in my research about Petscop, every single one mentioned Ben drowned. Like,
oh, okay.
Every single one. They, whether they were to say, like, it reminds me of Ben drowned, or like, this is in the style of Ben drowned, or this is in the vein of Ben drowned. It came up, which is the only reason I would say this is not like a wholly, completely original, and nothing is original anymore, so, but...
Right.
That it's a video game creepypasta in the format of a Let's Play. And the first episode of it starts with a kid, who we presume is named Paul, because that's what he input his character name at the beginning, saying, like, I just wanted to tell you that I'm not lying about this game that I found, it's really weird. And it goes from there. It's like you said, it starts out, it's very, like, bright colors, bubblegum pop. It was kind of funny. It reminds me a little bit of some of the design choices we made for our website's logo, because there's a lot of, like, brightly colored checkerboards and, things like that.
So what's that one game? Undertale?
Undertale, yes.
I've never played that, but from what I've seen of screens, this kind of reminded me of that design. I can see that. Also, as someone that's never played that game, I can totally see that kind of parallel. Maybe I should play Undertale sometime. I've heard it's really good. Yeah, I have too. If you want to yell at us for not playing Undertale, feel free to do so in the comments. And then we'll play it and talk about it.
Yes.
So feel free to yell.
Yeah, really. So anyway, that's, I think you're right. That's kind of the basic intro to Petscop. It seems like this really harmless, kind of weird, but unfinished game. And then it was on this, disc that the kid had, and there was a note on it that has a code, like a cheat code type code. And in doing that, inputting that, he unlocked kind of like a second level of the game. That is, there's no sound, it's dark, it's weird, the level changes on its own a lot. And he spends most of the Let's Play in that part of the game. But okay. It seems like the theories on what this game is about, it has, like, drastically evolved from the time that this series started coming out. I think the early theories, and when I started investigating this, and when I was watching the Night Minds and Nightmare Expo videos, I believe I should have checked exactly what the dates were, but they seemed to cover maybe the first 7 to 10 episodes. I think the Night Minds one came first, so it didn't cover as much. The Nightmare Expo one came later, and it covered a few more episodes. But the two theories that both videos focused on most heavily was either one that was called the Candace Newmaker theory and one that was the color theory.
I heard about, a little bit about the Candace theory, but
yeah.
Go off.
Yeah. Don't worry. So the Candace Newmaker theory is super well documented. It's not going to be hard to look up and find, so I'm not going to go into it too heavily because I feel like everyone else has. But the long and short of it is that there was an actual murder case in the late 90s, early 2000s, where there was this girl who had been adopted by a woman who was a nurse of some kind. And this was in North Carolina. And she had like behavioral problems. And she was an adopted kid. She'd had a rough life, so it makes sense that she might have some behavioral problems. But the mom, who was a nurse's solution to this, was to go through this kind of like experimental psychological treatment called rebirthing, where they kind of like wrapped her up in a blanket with some pillows, and it was supposed to be representative of a womb, and she was supposed to be rebirthed.
So fucking weird.
I know. And it's, I guess, like, sort of symbolic of making her adoptive mother more like making her accept her as her real mother. Because it's like, obviously, I didn't push you out from between my legs, but this is my attempt at doing something similar. So it was her and the mom and a therapist for this experimental treatment. And they, like, more or less held her down with their combined weight, and she was supposed to, like, struggle and fight her way out. And when she started to kind of lose steam and cry and tell them that she couldn't breathe, they proceeded to, like, verbally assault her. I assume thinking that they would motivate her to get out. But they asked her if she even really wanted to be born, and did she want to just die in there, and she was a quitter, and this, that, and the other. And she did eventually end up going into a coma, suffering brain death, and then actually dying. Which is a really fucked up and sad way to go. And
Italy fucked up.
It's funny because when I was watching the videos that explored this theory pretty in depth, it triggered it for me. I remember they did a fucking episode of CSI about this.
Oh, yeah. I think you mentioned that over text message. We're going to reference our text messages all of the time because we text every day.
pretty much every day. But no, it was weird because I remember seeing that episode when I was a kid. I think if my math is right, were Candace Newmaker alive today, she'd be like roughly our age. I'm pretty sure we were about the same age. And I think the kid that they did it to in the TV show was older. Like, I don't think it was as young of a kid. But that's probably because they didn't want to put that on, like, fucking CBS. Like, we're smothering a child. I think they made it, like, maybe smothering another adult.
I'm just looking her up. She was born in 1989, so yeah.
Oh, yeah, about our age.
She's 1 year older than me. Would have been.
She's 2 years older than me. But, anyway. Our contemporary. But, so, that's the basis of the Newmaker theory. There is a lot of references to things that seem tied into this. There is a character, one of the Petscop is kind of like a vaguely Pokemon-ish game in that there are these animals, these pets, that you are supposed to capture, on the surface at least. And they all look really, like, weird, and they're colored very differently. The coloring scheme is different from the rest of the game, which is, I think, the weirdest part about it to me. Mm-hmm. But one of them is a character named Randus, and people think that that's, tied into Candace. There's a character that signs off himself as the Newmaker, and the like weird part of the game is often called the Newmaker plane. So people think that, like, you've got this Randus element, the Newmaker element. There are a lot of references to Do You Remember Being Born and Rebirth.
Yeah, I remember all that.
There's also, a room.
There's so much similarity that if you search Candace Newmaker, one of, like, the top Google searches is Candace Newmaker video game, and then you click on that.
Question mark.
And then you click on that, and then there's just, like, every single result is about Petscop. Mm-hmm. So that's how serious this theory is.
Yeah, people are really into it, or they were. Maybe they still are. But and the other one that I think was really big is that there is a room that's like a mirrored room. So there's like a room here and a room here, and something that like is a dividing line. And if you like look in the mirrored, like I think the first part of the game, you are in the mirrored backwards room, and if you're able to see into the real room, you can see that the room is called the Quitters Room. So there's a lot of things that seem like compelling enough that I can see, yeah, you might totally think that this is about Candace Newmaker. I do feel like it is a bit of a red herring, though. Personally, I think that whoever made this game may have, intentionally put that stuff in there to throw people off, or they started making this game, people started putting those theories out there, and they just started incorporating more and more things that fit that into the game. Okay. To kind of, I don't know, it just seems too convenient to me, personally. Because I really don't think, having watched all 13 episodes of Petscop at this point, like, I don't think that is what this is about.
Okay, so what would you say it is about?
So. Without,
like, I don't know. Do we care?
Yeah.
No. Go for it.
Go off.
Go off.
The Newmaker theory, obviously, I think is the most popular theory. I think this is the one people know the most about. I think it makes the most interesting story because it seems like it's based on something real. And I think, similarly to the Candace Newmaker thing, I think there are definitely in-game themes of like abuse and neglect, kind of treating children like pets or objects and not as people with feelings, and that can undergo like irrevocable psychological damage. Like, I think that is certainly an element that is present in the game that is a big part of the Newmaker theory, but I don't think the Candace Newmaker theory is the real thing here. Okay. I'm going to talk about the color theory because I don't think it is a theory in as much as someone's a theory about how that scared the crap out of me. My cat just jumped down next to me and I got terrified.
If you were watching the YouTube version, you could see it. He's real cute. Yeah.
Could you see the panic in my eyes for like 0.222 seconds?
Yep.
Anyway, the color theory is just like how certain text in like in-game dialogue and text is changed to a certain color, and people piecing together like pink is related to this character Michael, and green is related to this like other character, and blue text is this other character, and when something so that's certainly a theory. I think that holds a lot of water. It's just something less about like this is what the game is about, it's more so like how to understand, and maybe like a method of piecing together what you think the game is about. But like in my preliminary research, that is what a lot of those two theories are the things that came up the most. And I think a lot of the videos that I watched, those videos came out at least a few months ago, if not maybe a full year ago. And then I had like put on, I'd been watching the Petscop videos. I got through about 9 or 10 and I stopped to take a break because I was like folding laundry, and I needed something in the background while I was folding laundry because I like could not fully focus on Petscop at that time. So I put on more like theory videos, and I think the channel Game Theorists did like a little 3-episode series about Petscop. The first one was, and I think their 3 episodes like really perfectly encompass the evolution of Petscop theories, because their first video is all about the Candace Newmaker theory, and they're like definitively like, yes, this is what it's about. And then they did a second video that kind of updates it and seems to be moving away from that theory and more towards this narrative of like a cycle of family violence. There's this character that's introduced named Marvin, who seems to be sort of an antagonist character. He's got like a weird green face. And over the course of the series, and particularly the most recent episodes, like 11 and 12, rather than dropping like really like, maybe 1 or 2 small shadowy hints per video, they start dropping a lot of weird stuff per video that gives you a lot more fodder for interpretation. And from that, a lot of people have shifted their theories into believing that it is about this Marvin character, starting in 1977, he has murdered a woman. Tentatively, fans theorize this woman is named Tiara. He murders her at this windmill, and then marries her sister. And the idea is that he is, like, abusing his own children in an attempt to kind of project on them Tiara. Like, there's one child that early on in the game you see his gravestone, and the theories have developed that, like, this was his kid. He did something to this kid, trying to make this kid into a proxy for Tiara, who's dead, and it didn't work, and that kid is dead now. Then there's a second child, a daughter, that he, at a later part in the game, you get a scene where you see him breaking into her room and kidnapping her. And there's a lot of stuff about, there's a lot of dates that are important. Mm-hmm. So you get, like, a flashback scene to June, which, if you, like, watched far enough in the game, you piece together that June is when this girl goes missing and gets kidnapped. In June, the girl gets kidnapped. Then you get, like, a scene that's in December, where she is back. And you find a calendar that shows, like, blocked off days in green that showed the span of time that she was missing. And then prior to that, it's almost like you see a custody calendar. You get some dialogue that implies that maybe the sister, who is the man that Marvin married, or the woman that Marvin married, and the mother of the daughter who goes by Care in the game, takes his daughter. That corresponds with the months on the calendar that she's missing, as well as the green days where he has his daughter. There's a whole, like, sub-element of eyebrows being important to whether or not you're going to be able to make a child into a vessel for Tiara. For example, the first kid that dies, Michael, they say his eyebrows are plucked out, but it obviously doesn't work. So Care...
I'm Googling this.
You're fine. No, Care... So Care isn't growing any eyebrows, so she, like, is obviously, like, the next perfect choice to use for whatever vesselization process he's doing. Whatever it is seems to be, like, really tied into music. Maybe he is a teacher. There's a lot of questions that are still unanswered, but there seems to be sort of a thought that the series may be over. The most recent episode, which is episode 13, came out 2 months ago, after a few months of, like, silence and no new videos. And it definitely ends with kind of, like, an element of finality.
Okay.
But the most recent episode 13 that came out, happened to come out on the 1-year anniversary of the channel, of the first video. And game theorists kind of posited that June 5th, which is the day in-game that Kara is kidnapped by her dad, he wouldn't be surprised if another new video was uploaded that day. So if there's going to be a continuation to the series, that might be the next big day that it comes out. Something that was pointed out to me and that I learned as I was researching this, like, obviously a lot of work went into this. Somebody
designed a whole game.
A lot of game design skills. But I believe one of the videos I looked at pointed out that there are certain videos and certain parts of videos that if you, like, pull them out, basically, and if you were to watch them, like, next to each other side by side, the playable character, your little playable character from one video to the other, you're, like, walking the same path. And, like, if you even were to upload it into, like, audio editing software, like, the waveforms are the same in both videos. So, like, they sync up and they match up, like, almost perfectly. I didn't get to look into that angle as much as I wanted to, but I think it's really fascinating that someone would take the time to do that and what it means. There's a lot, it seems really related to the idea that things that happen on the gift plane, which is kind of like the surface level of Petscop, like the pink bubblegum candy store looking level, and the New Maker plane, which is where all the weird dark stuff, like, there's maybe a weird correlation between how things happen here and there, affecting each other. There was a lot of stuff also about the Dr. Seuss story, Daisy Head Maisie, at least initially, and how that ties into the character of Care, because at one time she's seen with, like, a flower popping up out of her head. And I think, again, that's something that maybe the creator, like, took inspiration from, and they worked into the series, but I don't think, like, Daisy Head Maisie is, like, the source code, you know? Like, this is gonna be the key that unlocks it all. It's just really interesting to me how there is so much stuff buried in this game. I cannot imagine the, like, forethought and pre-planning that had to go into this, on top of, like, I assume that the person who's creating this, like, adapts to the fan theories as he goes along, and you know, at least reads some of the comments and some of the theories, and has to keep that in mind when he keeps doing this, whether he chooses to play into fan theory or not. Like, it's become, like, a huge thing. While I don't personally think Petscop is scary, I think there are moments in it that are creepy and unsettling. And I talked to some people I know that are into it, some people on Twitter, other people that have heard of it, and I asked them what they like about the series, and they said that they really appreciate it for, A, the work that's gone into it, on, like, the deep levels and layers of it, as well as they appreciate that it's something that was, like, really effectively creepy without resorting to, like, jump scares or screamers or anything like that, which I can totally get. That is an easy out. And I think that is something that sets it apart from other web series-y type things. I think the kid that is, I presume, the one that created the whole thing, the one who plays the character of Paul, the Let's Player, he's a very convincing narrator. He certainly feels like he is playing the game in real time, and, like, you're learning things at his pace. So I, like, really commend their narrating style in this. For me, at this point into it, my interest in this is almost more in unraveling the mystery. There are clearly so many possible clues and possible theories and potential red herrings and things that seem important and maybe aren't, versus things that didn't seem important early in the game that now have come to, like, a high prominence of relevance, at least for the fans. I just want to dig into it and find out more about what this is all supposed to be about. I'm not really in it so much for the creep factor, the scares, although I do acknowledge that those are there for some people. I just am, like, fascinated by this idea of, you know, who made this, why did they make it. So, you know, there's kind of, like, a conflicting theory on whether people think Marvin made the game, the character of Marvin who kidnapped his daughter, like, whether he made the game or if somebody else, you know, game theorist thinks that's this character of Rainer, who is maybe his son, maybe Marvin's son, created the game as an attempt to, like, alert people to the bad things that Marvin had done. Some people think that there's, like, you know, it's Marvin's ghost or his, like, spirit or something is trapped in the game and it's keeping him from committing these acts against children, but they're, you know, the children are still out there missing, and their whereabouts can be figured out if you can solve the puzzle of the game. Some people have theorized that the character of Paul, but because of the way things sync up from one video to the next, maybe by playing the game at all, he's playing into, you know, Marvin, either in the game or as the game's creator. He's sort of being trained by Marvin to potentially go forward and, like, continue his acts. I don't know, like, in a lot of ways it doesn't feel like it's over, and it feels like there's a lot more to get into and that the story could definitely further develop, but it did seem like, you know, at the end of the most recent episode 13, Paul seemed, like, really unnerved by the revelations in that episode, and you could almost hear him taking a step back from the computer and walking away. So there is a lot to Petscop. I'm glad that this was recommended to us because I had never heard of it before this. And I really enjoyed detangling all the theories and trying to piece together how all the big main theories work together or don't work together, and trying to find what the big picture is here.
I think I'm along for the ride because I have heard of Petscop before, and I have tried watching other people's videos on Petscop before, and the videos didn't hold my attention, and then me actually trying to go in and watch the videos did not hold my attention, and it's respectfully not for me. Aesthetically, I find it really unappealing, and the mystery can't hold my attention to the point that it would make me forget any of that. I do respect that all of the work that has gone into it really shows, and I think it's neat that somebody made a game and then started telling. Well, I don't think it's original. I think that it is sort of a unique, not truly unique, but it's an interesting twist on a creepypasta in a more interactive format, and I like that. But from what you're telling me about these theories, personally, the way you dissect it makes it sound more interesting than I think the Petscop actually presents it. They give you like a tiny little piece at a time, and it's to the point where you almost, if you're not really paying attention, or if you aren't going to sink the time in, you're not going to find out any of this information. So the way that you sort of just like handed it to me just now is great. And based on your telling of the theories and the stories, it sounds interesting to me. And it sounds like it would be, sorry, this is going to happen. It sounds like it would be disappointing if they didn't end it in a more conclusive way, especially since there are so many people that are really into this series. Mm-hmm. So I hope for you guys that there's a payoff that makes it worth following it all this time, and that you get some sort of answer, because if there's no answer to the mystery, I don't know what there is. But I'm not trying to be a dick, but it's not for me. It sounds interesting when you tell it. It doesn't seem appealing at all when I watch it. I respect it, and I hope that you guys get an answer to your mystery.
I think to in your defense, like, I am glad that I watched the Night Minds and Nightmare Expo videos first, because even though I think they did focus really heavily on the Newmaker theory, which I, at this point in my research, like, don't think holds a lot of water, and like I said, I think it's a red herring. But that theory on its own was enough to get me interested to try it, and I have watched all of Petscop, but I don't think I got really intrigued by it. Like, nothing really happened to suck me into it until I was like several episodes in. And like, if you were to look back at my notes, it's like bullet mark, bullet mark, bullet mark, bullet mark. And then like, I suddenly started taking like long paragraphs of text, like, okay, and then this is happening, and I don't understand why. When did this happen? And why did, like, so at a certain point, I think I just got like pulled in. Mm-hmm. And like I said, for me, it's a mystery. I'm curious how it will play out. And it may not. We might get, David Lynched on this one.
I'm going to just say it better play out, because if it doesn't, I'm going to be irritated. Not even for me, but for everyone. So
yeah,
come on, Petscop, finish it up.
Right. It's one of those things, like, I'm getting into it now. Like, it's been over a year since the first episode was released, so I'm getting into it late. It's easy for me to jump in and look at all these other theories that people have crafted and put together. But there's, like, a full year's worth of people that have really dedicated a lot of time and work and effort into decoding this puzzle, not even counting the person who made the thing itself.
Right.
So it's easy for me to, like, jump in and be like, oh, this didn't hold my interest at first, but now it does. Like, there are people who, like, have really worked at it, and they've put in a lot of effort, and they've made it into this cool thing that I'm not sure I would have enjoyed if I'd gotten into it when it first started. Because, like I said, the first few episodes didn't really catch my attention either. So I have the luxury of getting into it later.
Yeah. Well, I guess, thank you, Sugar Pining, because otherwise... Yeah,
thank you, Sugar Pining.
Otherwise, Mirame could never have enjoyed this.
That's true. I owe you one.
Yeah.
That said, also, if anybody listening to this has requests for us in the future, like, do not hesitate to tweet at us or leave something in the comments.
Yeah, we can't guarantee that we'll do it, because if I hate it to the point where I feel like I can't with a straight face talk about it, then I won't do it. But, or if it's something I feel like is super overdone, we probably won't do it.
But we do want to hear your suggestions and thoughts.
Yeah, we want to hear that you care about this podcast at all. Like, if you're willing to give us a listen at all, I want to hear that. And then if we can make this more enjoyable for you guys, please let us know. So my topic is sort of it's completely different. So we're going to depart entirely from this realm of anything fictional.
Shell off this mortal coil.
You know what? Not anything fictional, because there are, like, urban legends are mostly fiction, but...
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to start this off by saying, I recently moved away from Fairfax Station, Virginia, and I lived about 5, maybe 8 minutes away from the Bunnyman Bridge. The Bunnyman Bridge is a urban legend in that area, and I learned about it from visiting the small town of Clifton, which is kind of a weird little place. It is very small, and around it is like a lot of horse country, really fancy houses, rich older people live there, and in Fairfax Station too, but the Clifton people take it to the next level. And there's a cat.
There's a cat.
Not in the Bunnyman story, hopefully not. So the first time I ever heard about it, I went to the Clifton General Store, and they had these spooky t-shirts that were about the Bunnyman, and I was like, what's this about? And the general store guy told me about it, and I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with a website called Atlas Obscura. It's a really cool website. If you haven't been to it, they also came out with a book, and it's just a whole bunch of places all over, everywhere, that are weird in some way or unique in some way. And once I found out the story, which I'm about to tell you, from the general store man, I looked it up in other places, and I noticed that Atlas Obscura did not have an entry for this, and so I submitted it, and so I think I submitted this like probably 2000, I don't know, it doesn't say when I submitted it, but like 2009 or something. And,
oh, wow.
And I will just, out of laziness, read to you what I wrote then. So,
hey man, it's your original content.
Yeah, it is my original content. It's old as shit, but it's there. I'm glad I could be like a part of making this, translating this urban legend into the internet age. So, the Bunnyman Bridge, which I will post pictures of this on the Twitter and Instagram, and also on ominousglitch.com. The simple one-lane concrete tunnel in Clifton, Virginia, known as Colchester Overpass, can look more than a little sinister on a moonlit night. So it's little wonder that it has cultivated a creepy legend surrounding the specter of an axe murderer known as the Bunnyman.
Ooh, all right.
No, God, I really hammed this up. Now known to most as the Bunnyman Bridge, the overpass has become a favorite spot for teenagers and the superstitious to give themselves a bit of a scare. As the legend goes, a group of convicts were being transferred from a nearby insane asylum when their bus crashed, releasing the crazed criminals. While most were found dead or recovered, and I don't know why I didn't put when this was, and I think part of it is because we don't exactly know when this was, but right now, maybe I'll just go back and edit my Atlas Obscura as well.
Oh my god.
1904. 1904.
Oh, for some reason, I'm like...
There's a 70s aspect of it, too. If that's why you're confused.
Yes. I thought... My brain, for some reason, thought that this was, in the late 60s.
So... I need to go back and edit this now. But... I'm gonna, edit a little bit around here. But, As the legend goes, a group of convicts were being transferred from a nearby insane asylum in 1904 when their bus crashed, releasing the crazed criminals. While most were found dead or recovered, 2 managed to escape. For a time. Not long after the crash, the body of one of the convicts was found hanging from the Colchester overpass, and according to some accounts, had a note signed "The Bunnyman." The search continued for the second convict, and a number of half-eaten rabbits were said to have been found hanging in the trees in the area. Finally, the killer was cornered, but was hit by a passing train before he could be apprehended. Now, of course, there never was any insane asylum in the area, but the story has managed to stick.
Well, what is considered in the area?
So there are some theories about this, and I didn't write this in there because I'm not going to just push in a whole bunch of theories, but there was the Lorton Prison, but I think I looked into this before, and the Lorton Prison was not that old. And there was okay, so Lorton Prison was not established till 1910. And it could be that just the legend has the dates wrong, or just that this never fucking happened, which is the case.
Possible.
But there was supposedly right in that area a halfway house. But legends say insane asylum, then they say convicts, then they say halfway house. Like, what is it? But that's how that's just how urban legends do, right?
Right. Well, I mean, there's also the whole let's not get into how like the mentally ill were treated like criminals at that period of time as well.
So it could be all of the above.
Yeah. I was gonna say, just throwing it out there. This is maybe like outside of the localized area, but St. Elizabeth's is not that far from Fairfax. It's like southern DC.
Yeah.
And I don't know if at that time it was still being used as like a tuberculosis hospital or if it was a prison at that time. But I know that like later into the 50s and 60s, that's where that guy was perfecting the lobotomy. So
it says
that guy.
An asylum prison in Clifton, Virginia was shut down.
Okay.
But like there's no I looked into this before, and I'm sure other people have looked into it as well, and there just isn't one and wasn't one that we know of. Okay. There's no documentation of one.
I'm trying to make this legend happen.
Well, you kind of can't. So, of course, there never was any insane asylum in the area, but the story has managed to stick. In the 1970s, there were some reports of a crazed man in a white outfit, which was alternately described as a rabbit costume and or a Ku Klux Klan robe, who would harass and threaten people for trespassing on his property. No one was ever convicted for the attacks, but this is likely the true source of the tales of the Bunnyman. Now, here is where there are other accounts of this same situation in the 1970s. Okay. So, let's go with Wikipedia now. Let's get in there. Let's go into it.
Wikipedia.
The
most trusted source on the internet.
Yeah, and you know what? This section does not cite any sources. Please help improve this section. See? See, it sounds like I'm all over the place, but really everyone is.
Yeah.
I'm also all over the place, but not about this, okay?
You're the expert. You created the Obscura page.
The legend has circulated for years in several forms. A version naming a suspect and a specific location was posted to a website in the late 1990s by Timothy C. Forbes. This version states that in 1904, an asylum prison in Clifton, Virginia was shut down by a successful petition of the growing population of the residents in Fairfax County. During the transfer of inmates to a new facility, one of the 15 transports crashed. Most, including the driver, were killed. 10 escaped. A search party found all but one of them. During the time, locals allegedly began to find hundreds of cleanly skinned, half-eaten carcasses of rabbits hanging from the trees in the surrounding areas. Another search of the area was ordered, and the police located the remains of Marcus Wallister, left in a similar fashion to the rabbit carcasses hanging in a nearby tree or under a bridge overpass, also known as the Bunnyman Bridge, along the railroad tracks. That sounded very magical, I'm sorry. At Colchester Road, officials name that last missing inmate Douglas J. Griffin as their suspect and call him the Bunnyman. In this version, officials finally managed to locate Griffin, but during their attempt to apprehend him at the overpass, he nearly escapes before being hit by an oncoming train where the original transport crashed. They say that after the train passed, the police heard laughter coming from the site. It is eventually revealed that Griffin was institutionalized for killing his family and children on Easter Sunday. That's a new level I didn't even know.
I've never heard that before either.
For years after the Bunnyman's death, in the time approaching Halloween, carcasses are said to be found hanging from the overpass and surrounding areas. A figure is reportedly seen by passersby making their way through the one-lane bridge tunnel. Conley says this version is demonstrably false. Along with other inconsistencies, Conley notes that there has never been an asylum for the insane in Fairfax County, and that Lorton Prison didn't come into existence until 1910, and even then it was an arm of the District of Columbia Corrections System, not Virginia's. Moreover, court records show that neither a Griffin or a Walster even existed.
That was my next question. Has anyone, done any homework on either of these, actual names that someone listed?
Cryptozoologist Lauren Coleman, via his blog...
He's a monster now.
Via his blog, Cryptomundo, and the book Weird Virginia, in a section on the Bunnyman, wrote about a direct association between the legend of the Bunnyman and the Goat Man of nearby Maryland. Stay tuned!
Part 2!
Maybe I'll do that sometime. I'm trying to find, the other... Okay. There's also, some other 1970s stuff. Okay. Here we go. Fairfax County Public Library historian, archivist Brian A. Conley, and that's where Conley came from. I was going to say, where'd this guy come from? Well, if you read the whole thing... Conley extensively researched the Bunnyman legend. He has located 2 incidents of a man in a rabbit costume threatening people with an axe. The vandalism reports occurred The vandalism reports occurred a week apart in 1970 in Burke, Virginia. The first and Burke, Fairfax Station, and Clifton are just they're just right next to each other.
Okay.
The first incident was reported on the evening of October 19th, 1970 by U.S. Air Force Academy cadet Robert Bennett and his fiancée who were visiting relatives on Guinea Road in Burke. That's where the Target is now. Around midnight, while returning from a football game, they reportedly parked their car in a field on Guinea Road to visit an uncle who lived across the street from where the car was parked. As they sat in the front seat with the motor running, they noticed something moving outside the rear window. Moments later, the front passenger window was smashed, and there was a white-clad figure standing near the broken window. Bennett turned the car around while the man screamed at them about trespassing, including, "You're on private property and I have your tag number." As they drove down the road, a couple discovered a hatchet on the car floor. So apparently that's what he threw through the window. When the police requested a description of the man, Bennett said he was wearing a suit with long bunny ears. However, Bennett's fiancée contested that their assailant did not have bunny ears on his head, but was wearing a white capirote of some sort. Jesus Christ, what is that?
Spell it. Can you use it in a sentence?
Capirote. Capirote?
I don't know what that is.
All right. It's like a clan. It's a clan, hood. Like a pointed one.
Okay, so that has a formal name, I guess.
They both remembered seeing his face clearly, but in the darkness, they could not determine his race. The police returned the hatchet to Bennett after examination. Bennett was required to report the incident upon his return to the Air Force Academy. The second reported sighting occurred on the evening of October 29th, 1970, when construction security guard Paul Phillips approached a man standing on the porch of an unfinished home in Kings Park West on Guinea Road. Phillips said the man was wearing a gray, black, and white bunny costume and was about 20 years old, 5'8", and weighed about 175 pounds. The man began chopping at the porch with a long-handled axe, saying, "All you people trespass around here. If you don't get out of here, I'm going to bust you on the head." The Fairfax County Police opened investigations into both incidents, but both were eventually closed for a lack of evidence. In the weeks following the incidents, more than 50 people contacted the police claiming to have seen the Bunnyman. 50. Show me the receipts. Several newspapers reported the incident of the Bunnyman eating a man's runaway cat. There was a cat in the story after all.
Uh-oh. I must hold her close, protect her.
Including the following articles in the Washington Post, and then there's, like, some links to articles. But basically, no one knows what the fuck. No one knows what the fuck. Like, it's just... Anyway.
I believe it's totally possible that there could have been, like, a fucking crazy dude in
the
rabbit
70s,
costume.
probably, yeah.
Yeah. Like, threatening people. Like,
yeah.
I've heard of people doing fucking crazier shit than that, but...
So...
I don't know.
No matter where it originated, back to me now. No matter where it originated, the tale of the Bunnyman continues to this day, and now it is said that if one crosses through the tunnel at midnight on Halloween, the hatchet-bearing killer will appear and murder such bold intruders, hanging them from the bridge. So,
oh my gosh.
That is like my... You know, I have multiple hometown ghost stories, and I'll get to them all at some point. But yeah, that one is like literally, my parents still live there. It's right there. There's lots of pictures of it online. And I have taken pictures myself.
It's been included in a lot of like travel documentaries and
like
things like
haunted
that.
Virginia, haunted DC metro area stuff. So then as I was like looking at this, I was just like, I was on Reddit and it was on the Urban Legends sub and they were like, on April 18th, holy shit, there was a parent...
Of this year, April 18th of this
year.
Like,
literally.
We should clarify.
Yeah, like right now, it is May 17th. So like literally 1 month ago, tomorrow, there was a fucking homicide right there. So... The Fairfax County Police Department said a man was found dead on Colchester Road in Fairfax Station with upper body trauma. Detectives are on the scene as police investigate the apparent homicide. Now, there has not been a follow-up article. I looked for one. Police are investigating what they call an apparent homicide on Colchester Road in Fairfax Station on Wednesday. A passerby saw a man lying on the side of the road a little before 7 a.m. on Wednesday in the 6500 block of Colchester Road, Fairfax County Police. Sergeant Aaron Fife said. Responding officers saw the man had trauma to his upper body, and rescue crews determined that he was dead on the scene. Fife said. Police said no weapons were found. Detectives could be seen taking pictures in the road from behind yellow police tape, and black barriers had been set up. Investigators are now awaiting results from the medical examiner's office. Fife added that the police do not believe that there is a threat to the public. Few other details were given, and anyone with information was asked to call the police. Mary, hey Mary, who lives nearby, asked not to have her last name used. Was walking her dog when she saw the police in her neighborhood. She said she was surprised to hear a homicide investigation was underway. There's Horse County, God, I can't fucking read today, which is great. I did not sleep last night. I'm sorry. There's horse country around us, and it's just very quiet. It's a very peaceful place to live, as I described previously. The man's body was found not far from a railroad overpass that has become well known to some for its connection to local urban legends. The Colchester Overpass, also known as the Bunnyman Bridge, is the site of several frightening legends about a man in a bunny costume. A map of the area can be seen below. And that's the whole article.
That's what's cool about, I mean, not cool. I guess cool is relative here, but like, what's cool about this is that like, until they figure out exactly what happened, if they ever do, like, just by its, like, sheer proximity to the Bunnyman Bridge,
it was definitely the Bunnyman.
It will be attributed in some way to him or that bridge or that legend, like,
100%
forever.
Confirmed. I've solved the case already.
Yeah. It's
done. You do not need to investigate further.
One of the things I enjoy so much about urban legends is, like, when they reach that point where they take on a life of their own.
Oh, yeah. Well, this one is like so convoluted at this point. Nobody knows what's going on with that.
True.
They just know that bridge. Something's up with it.
It's a bad bridge, man. It's bad.
Bunnies or something. And also I feel close to this because my nickname is Bunny. And then when I posted my article to Alice Obscura, I was sure to post my picture with a cosplay that has bunny ears. Because I'm that bitch.
I noticed that. I was like, how convenient that's your picture.
Yeah.
Your user picture.
It's stupid. It's real dumb.
Nah.
Right. Did you still want to do the Reddit story? This one actually, like, I don't know if this scares you.
Okay.
But it kind of scares me.
Ooh, okay. I want to hear what scares you.
Well, I mean, I don't know if I'm, like, really afraid as much as I really like to hear stories about this, and I like the lore behind it.
Okay, I'm all about it.
So this story was posted by Navajo Joe 5 years ago on Reddit.
For some reason, this already sounds familiar, but go for it.
Well, it's been on the Trello for, like, a while.
Oh, okay. Anyway.
And the title of it is just Navajo Joe and all.
Oh, well, maybe that's why I've just seen Navajo Joe.
I was a kid when this happened. My uncle and I were finishing up chopping and gathering firewood for my grandmother because it was getting dark. Driving back on a dirt road at about 30 miles per hour, give or take 5, I had this awful sense of being watched. Before I could turn to look out the window, passenger side, my uncle quickly shouted, "Don't." I completely froze. My heart felt like it was beating out of my chest and then completely stopped when I heard a tap-tap on my window. My uncle sped up and was loudly praying in my native language. I didn't know what was going on, and I thought it was over until our truck suddenly dipped from the bed. My uncle then started saying, "Look at me," and "Don't turn away," over and over. And then I heard it, tap, tap, on the window behind me. It was getting harder for me to breathe, and I wanted to cry. A minute or two passed, and the truck dipped again. My uncle looked around inside. It was quiet besides the truck and the road. He looked at me and said, "We will ask your father to do a prayer in the morning, so that the evil will forget our faces." And that's like a rough translation from Navajo to English. I remember curling up on the seat and staring at the radio, watching the time, listening to my uncle sing an old prayer till we got back to my grandmother's house. I called my uncle because I had a nightmare about that night. He talked about it for a bit and said, "I didn't see faces, just eyes, like brake lights brake lights you see on the road. It watched you." And that's another Navajo to English translation. Before I was hanging up, I tried to joke with him about it and said, "Why didn't you just step on the brake when it was in the back?" And he just paused and said, "Because it wasn't alone." So this, and like maybe this is like a generalization, but Navajo makes me feel like we're talking about maybe skinwalkers.
Ooh, maybe.
And skinwalkers are fucking scary. So, in Navajo culture, a skinwalker is a type of harmful witch who has the ability to turn into, possess, or disguise themselves as an animal. And then there are definitely stories where they are able to turn into people. And a lot of times, when they turn into people, it's like a weird, not quite normal. And I think with the animals, it's the same. It's like, it's not quite, there's something not quite right about it. Like, it's like something pretending to be a person, something pretending to be a dog. And it's just strange. And there are a bunch of creepypastas about it. And there's a lot of really awesome stories about it. Like, real Navajo, like, legend stories. Like, real culturally stories.
Right.
From Navajo people. And then there are, like, creepypasta adaptations, or people like Navajo Joe, who is, like, a Navajo, like, kind of the marriage of both. So you have the culture, and then you have the access to Reddit and the summaries and translation from Navajo to English, which I think is kind of cool. So, let's see. In Navajo language, I'm not even going to try. But it says, by means of it, or he or she goes on all fours. Well, perhaps the most common variety seen in horror fiction by non-Navajo people. It's one of several varieties of Navajo witch. The legend of the skinwalker is not well understood outside of Navajo culture, mostly due to the reluctance to discuss the subject with outsiders. So that's creepy. Navajo people are reluctant to reveal skinwalker lore to non-Navajos or to discuss it at all among those that they do not trust. Navajo witches, including skinwalkers, represent the antithesis of Navajo cultural values. While community healers and cultural workers are known as medicine men and women, or by terms in the local indigenous language, witches are seen as evil, performing twisted ceremonies and manipulating magic in a perversion of the good works medicine people traditionally perform. In order to practice their good works, traditional healers learn about both good and evil magic. Most can handle this responsibility, but some people can become corrupt and choose to become witches. I think the cool thing about that story is that he claims that it's completely true. Mm-hmm. Now, it might not be, of course. But I was actually just watching a Rainbot video where she's doing a new thing on her videos where she's doing like sort of a question and answer segment at the end. Mm-hmm. And one of the things was talking about, I don't remember exactly how she got into it, but talking about how are you able to enjoy things once you know that they're fake. Mm-hmm. And she basically made me feel like a jerk. She's like, well, I feel like if you're not an asshole, then you can just enjoy things for what they are and not worry about if they're real or not. Uh-huh. And I was like, man, maybe I need to think about that more. And I'll not be so like, this needs to be real or else I'm not here for it.
I see where she's coming from. I agree. I think it's similar to my willingness to be scared by things, even though I like know that I know that I'm gonna get scared, and I'll give myself permission to get scared. Like when I know there's like a jump scare coming, and I know that it's coming, and I still like allow myself to enjoy it.
Maybe that's my problem. I don't. I'm like, a jump scare is coming, and you will not be affected. Relax. And then I'm not. I think that's it. That's just the difference. Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, I think that story is creepy and cool. That is a good one. That's one of my exercises in letting myself be like, I don't really care if it's real or not.
I think it was really good. I liked it. It was a good one.
Okay.
What's our piece of folklore, supernatural superstition folklore for the day?
Okay, parting.
Like
saying goodbye.
Okay.
Various superstitions surround the simple act of saying goodbye to someone. These include never saying the word goodbye more than once, which threatens a rift in the relationship, never saying goodbye over a gait or a style, and never watching someone out of sight, as this means the two parties will never meet again. Such traditions are strongest among spouses of fishermen, pilots, and other people engaged in potentially hazardous activities, although lovers are often similarly sensitive to the dangers involved.
Okay. Yeah, I was thinking, like, as you said it, it sounds like very much like a fisherman's wife type thing, so that makes sense.
Yeah, I feel like I say goodbye, like, 50 times whenever I say goodbye to anyone.
Yeah.
Like, I was leaving work today, and I was like, all right, see you guys later. All right, see you in the morning. All right, have a good one. Bye, guys.
Yeah, one of my bosses actually, like, he calls to check in, like, you know, at the beginning or the end of the day, and one or both of us must just be terrible at saying goodbye, because it becomes, okay, all right, well, thank you, okay, talk to you later, okay.
All right, have a good one.
Yeah. But,
drive safely.
Yeah, and there's a lot of, like, awkwardly talking over the other person. I don't know, it's very strange. But I always think about that. I would just be like, okay, bye. Like, it reaches a point where I'm just like, oh, I can't do this any longer.
Like Shaun of the Dead. Bye.
Bye.
I think that should be our sign-off now.
What? Saying bye a million times?
Be like, oh, okay. All right. Talk to you later.
Okay.
See you.
All right.
Okay.
See ya.
Bye.
Oh,
have a good one. Stay safe. Have a good night.
Call me when you get home.
Let me know you got home safe.
Yeah.
But we do that in person.
We do. That is absolutely true. That's for real.
Well, I think we covered a lot of topics this week. Probably too many topics this week.
Yeah, hopefully you're still with us at this point.
If you're not, sorry. We're going to still do this.
Yeah, we can't be reined in here.
Yeah.
There's just so much to talk about.
This is a passion project.
It is. It truly is.
Okay, well. All right, see you later.
So yeah, thank you guys for coming back. We hope to hear from you when episode 3 comes around.
Which will not be this episode is going up on Monday, and then so the next Monday you won't have an episode, but the Monday after that you will.
Yep.
Yay.
Leave us feedback in the comments or tweet at us. Check out our website for ancillary information and links to everything.
Plus Miramay's rad comic articles.
Yes, I do. I do write comic articles. Usually once a week, unless it's dead or I'm dead. One of the two. It's just an old traditional post from ye olden days in Ominous Glitch.
Yeah, when we tried to pull this shit off the first time.
We don't talk about that.
Yeah.
Except for this.
Yeah.
But yeah, keep in touch with us. We are always glad to hear from you guys. So
yeah. Let us know what you want to see, but don't be a dick.
Yes, please.
Because I'll ignore you. We both will. We'll cry about it, but then we'll ignore you.
Yes.
All right. We'll talk to you later.
Bye.
All right.
See ya.
Drive safely. All right.
Uh-huh.
Bye.
Bye.